And what an amazing run he's had indeed.
And I'm here with the winner officially. It's official now, with the winner of the US Chess Championship, Fabiano.
4 in a row. We have not seen that since one. Bobby Fischer, just an incredible performance. Also, he has a 50-game unbeaten streak in these US Championships. The champ for 2025, Grandmaster Fabiano Caruana.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the C-Squared podcast. In today's episode, of course, we have something to celebrate, and obviously there is something not to celebrate, but let's discuss your victory, Fabiano, at the US Championships. Came after a very tense race against the competition, specifically against Wesley So. You've scored quite a significant amount of points, but I would say you never let go of the pressure throughout the tournament. It was a very clean tournament. I don't think you were in any danger in any of the games. So once again, a very precise continuation performance after winning the Grand Chess Tour and doing quite well in the team event against India also. So congratulations, historical 4 in a row in a field which gets stronger and more difficult with each passing year. Probably the strongest national championships in the world. So congratulations, tying up Bobby Fischer's record of 4 in a row. Your initial feelings about it.
Thank you. Well, I wouldn't say no danger, because in the second round I was playing Andy Woodward. A bit of danger there. I was lost after like 10 moves. But besides that, you're right. It was, of course, there's always like risky positions and danger and tough games. I was worse against Mishra out of the opening at some point. Never significantly, but still something. It was a tough fight, because Wesley had a great tournament, and there were other guys who were pushing me throughout. I mean, I didn't feel like the start went too well. You know, I did win my first game, but then a bunch of draws. I think my form was a little bit, I mean, not bad, but, you know, it wasn't perfect, let's say. And then I missed this win against Wesley, obviously very unfortunate. I mean, very silly. Like, basically, I just spent the night beating myself up, didn't really sleep too much, because it just goes through your head like, okay, I mean, I had this against Maxime recently, just like very simple wins, and like, what the hell are you doing? But, you know, you can win anyway, just like sit still for 1 second, you idiot. You know, I just couldn't sit still. Like, I don't know what, I know, and I understand, and tell myself at the time, like, just be patient, you know, just, you have 40 minutes on the clock.
This was move 41. You just made that control.
Even before that, it's like, I have 7 minutes, but I did even make time control. I had like close to 40 minutes, basically forced checkmate. I mean, not basically, actually forced checkmate. He would have to stall checkmate by just starting to, you know, kamikaze all his pieces.
It was +6, actually, and more. Queen f6, this is the mistake on move 41. He could have thought. Instead, he played quickly. He's continued to do so. And now he took the pawn on d4. The bar goes whoop, all the way down. And now all that has to happen is kill this guy and play the move queen g7. And the engine's almost at triple zeros.
So it's kind of shocking that I do these things. I don't understand it. I really try to be cognizant about it, but it can be difficult. So anyway, I messed that game up. It was a tie. Hans was there. Wesley was doing well. Wesley was there. I was still like not doing badly. I had won a nice game against Darrow. I was +2. Wesley was +2. Hans was +2, but he had better pairings. So I felt like this tournament it can very easily get away from me. Very easily.
You had to win. You had to continue winning. You could not slow down. I felt exactly the same just watching it, and I felt they were breathing down your neck, at that point.
Yeah, I did feel that too. I wasn't trying to win against Hans from the start of the game. I was just trying to, basically my goal was, after a sort of game like the one against Wesley, just don't lose your next one, and then you start to reconsider things after that. There's still many games, still plenty to do, but don't lose. Losing to Hans, obviously the tournament is kind of impossible to salvage.
But it's very interesting that you're saying that despite your opening choice, which is an opening choice that a lot of people call dangerous, risky, but it felt like you were in the mood for a fight, not necessarily wanting to kill the game and make a draw with black. What was the strategy? How did you approach that one, and how did you make that choice to go for that quote unquote risky opening choice?
Well, so I basically feel like I'm most comfortable in transition from opening to middle game. I really feel very, very confident in my opening to middle game play. So I don't think about openings as being risky. I only think that the risk is if I get caught in my opponent's preparation. That's the main risk, because if that happens, then I'm playing against an engine, which everyone hates, but I obviously also hate it. I don't worry too much about having an unfamiliar position, as long as it's also unfamiliar for my opponent. And of course, you can play this. It can go badly. Your opponent can outplay you. It happens. I would not let that stop me from playing something unusual or new, especially because, I know the position better than my opponent, most likely. I've studied it. I choose the variation. I'm very happy to be able to choose the variation, because that means I know it a bit better than my opponent, unless some tremendously bad luck happens that they just happen to look at it recently, which can happen. Famous game, Magnus versus Hans from 2022.
I was actually very fortunate that this opening came on the board, and I looked at this today. And
you guessed this opening
no,
today?
I did not guess it, but for some miracle, I had checked this today.
Yeah, it's just small
yeah. Magnus
small joke there.
is probably in St. Louis right now. Maybe he's right now as we record this one. This is the 25th of October, but he will definitely be there tomorrow. There's media day for Clutch Chess, and probably by the time this episode goes out, Clutch Chess will already be in full swing. So
yeah, 3 years later, Magnus and Hans both in St. Louis, but not going to see a rematch this time. Anyway, it's not something that I worry too much about. So I'm happy to play different stuff. That's not where I find the risk to be. And I thought the opening was an excellent choice. Hans was unfamiliar with it, even though he is an Italian expert. He knows Italian very well. And it's not an unknown line. It's been played before. But the Italian is an opening where basically black can play legitimately 30 different acceptable lines. And they're all kind of subtle. You can put your on a6, on a5, you can put your knight on e7, on c6, bishop on b6 or a7, bishop on e7, or anywhere you want. You could play d5, you could play d6, you could do this and that. So to not know in detail one particular line is not a shock. I still felt that his opening play was very, very careless. I mean, to allow f5 is already, if you don't know the line, a little bit careless, even though c3 is perhaps the most critical move. Unless you actually know it, to allow f5 is very double-edged. It's basically, if you think about it,
it's like a Yanish. Yeah?
Yeah, it's like a Yanish, but very often black provokes c3. There's lines in the Yanish where black plays bishop b4 check, provokes c3, and then goes back because it takes away the knight square on c3. So if you think about it conceptually from that point of view, it's not like c3 is an advantage for white. So it does make sense. I mean, it's not like it could be a bad move, of course. It is very risky for black, but it makes sense. So that he allowed f5, but then especially that he allowed f4, because, it's a King's Indian, if you think about it. I mean, it's a bit different. I mean, obviously it's not an exact King's Indian. Bishop's on c4. Center's not closed yet, but the king side attack remains typical. I mean, you just push your pawns on the king side because the center is difficult to open for white. The fact that Black's king is in the center is not the most relevant detail. It does matter, but it doesn't mean that White is better or anything. So he did not, I think, understand the position very well. That was my feeling, and he had an off day, that's for sure. So that game really turned the tournament around for me. That's what I think.
I do feel like he has a lot of off days against you. There's some psychological edge that you're building up, at least up to the point in your career and in his career as well. You've been winning a lot against Hans. What do you think it is about this dynamic?
I don't know, because
and hopefully that doesn't spoil the future, right?
Well, we played in Vegas, and to his credit, he won the match against me, which was disappointing. Not because I consider him like a player that I have to beat or something, but because I missed some chances in that match, which was unfortunate. But in general, my results against him are particularly good.
Yes,
that's true. It's hard to deny at this point. But he is I always am cautious with him, because I understand that he's dangerous. He can be extremely dangerous. So you have to kind of, you have to stay very vigilant. He had an up and down tournament, which it started well, but then something, of course, it was an event where I understand, like at some point, obviously, if players were not able to focus on the chess entirely. So his tournament did derail in some way. And at the end, it started like very, very solid, consistent, and it ended very up and down, and to be honest, mostly down.
Yeah.
So that meant that there was two players who were still doing well, which was Wesley and Levon. And Levon had, I would say, a fine event. He gained some rating. He remained undefeated. He won 2 games, but it wasn't quite enough. And then Wesley was the only remaining player who was really putting pressure and winning a lot of games. He beat Ray and Shanklin early on. Then he beat Andy in a pretty nice game. And then he beat Dara with the black pieces basically on demand, and forced me to play for a win against Mishra, also on demand. And then in the last round, he was actually maybe not objectively so close, but he was putting the pressure up. He was rather close to getting a very big advantage. It was close. There was only like a few small details in the position where could have gone the wrong way for Grigori, but Grigori held. He's a good defender. He held a difficult position.
After messing up in the opening, I think he played a very, very practical and quite precise game, and his defense was top-notch.
Yeah, it was a great defensive effort. Very, very clean. After Wesley played Queen C3, he found Knight D4, and then he found a lot of very important moves to hold what was still a dangerous position. I was, of course, like kind of... I can't say kicking myself because I didn't do anything wrong, but after the opening, when he played B takes C3, and I knew that you play Rook C8, you don't play BC3. I was like, this is not going well already. I was really not thrilled to see that B takes C3 move, and I was thinking like, why didn't we discuss this at some point? Because I've played this position, we've obviously worked a lot. Why didn't we not discuss this one? And then he obviously, I understand if you've never seen the position before. And I've played it, so I have. Then it's very confusing why you take on C3, why you play Rook C8 first. It's actually not an easy moment, but
he did have Rook C8 in his files, I would assume, right? He probably just misremembered.
I'm sure that he checked Rook C8. It's just your memory is fuzzy.
I think he just misremembered. Yeah.
Yeah. It's anyway. All is well that ends well, and he did survive. And Wesley was very kind and congratulating me, even though I'm sure that he was trying super hard to win, and obviously disappointed that he didn't eke out that final last round win.
Well, I mean, Wesley, and this bodes well for the chances of the US team as well. It seems like he's finally finding his groove again. I think he had a very difficult 2024. He was sort of losing a bunch of rating, falling out of the top 10, but he's completely back after a very good Sinquefield Cup, winning that obviously after the tie breaks against you. Somewhat of an unfortunate event for you, but a very good performance by Wesley. He continues that, and again, that bodes well in general for the U.S. team going into 2026.
Well, Wesley is having a great comeback. I mean, he won Singfield Cup. He's back to 27. Let me get it right. 27-64.
Yeah. Top 10. Back in top 10, right?
Top 10. Obviously, it's not a surprise whatsoever, but still, he's doing well. And I mean, my opinion is always that the U.S. team is tremendous. So we're the. I mean, it's obviously like India is super strong, and last time they dominated the Olympiad, but the U.S. can definitely compete. But we'll see that next year. I think it will be. I mean, kind of unclear who exactly will be on the team because obviously there are a lot of players in kind of close vicinity in rating. Levon, Hans are very, very close. Lanier as well, and the question will always be, will Hikaru play? We don't know, but still, U.S. chess is obviously in a good, especially with the young guys. Just a small mention of Andy Woodward having a great tournament, and if I see like the June, Abimanu did not have a great tournament, but he is obviously still one of the most promising young players in the world.
Player. Yeah,
he's 2650 or so. He's 16, 2650. That's tremendous. And then Andy is now over 2600 at the age of 15, and that's also very impressive. And he had a slightly up and down U.S. championship, but he beat Sam Savian, he beat Daro, he beat Hans in a very, very well played game. He was winning against Sam. He could have won that. He was winning against me. He could have won that potentially. So I think it was a very successful tournament for him, and definitely these two young guys will at some point be breaking 2700. I think that's only a matter of time.
Let's speak about history a little bit and how history will remember your titles. Obviously, right now you've equalized the streak of Bobby Fischer, 4 in a row. That's extremely impressive, and I do want to give a shout out to the C Squared podcast. Since 2022, when it started, you've won every single US championships. So I think
I remember in 22 we actually had a party because it was I hadn't won in so long. It had been 6 years, so we had a party.
2016 and 2022 we've had a tremendous party after winning the US championships. Yeah.
It was like such a shock. Oh, I finally won the U.S. championship after 6 years. That we had a party, and then I think we spoke to Maurice then, right? That was
yes.
We had an interview with Maurice. That it feels like a million years ago. Of course, that 2022, but yes, obviously this is the reason.
Congrats. No, it's obviously a huge accomplishment. How do you see that? Like, how important it is for you to keep piling on those titles?
Well, the U.S. Championship means a lot to me because it's also a tournament that's kind of close to my heart. Playing the national championship, playing against the best players in the country. It is, I've said, the strongest national championship in the world, and I think that's not even in doubt. I mean, obviously, traditionally, the Russian championship and Soviet championship were
it's not the
strongest.
For sure not.
Yeah, but these days, U.S. and India are the strongest countries, with Uzbekistan also up there and China also up there. But like India doesn't have a strong national championship, probably because the money is not, for some reason, the money in that particular tournament is not super attractive, and the U.S. remains as the national championship that attracts almost all the best players. And Hikaru does not play. Hasn't played in 6 years here, but still, even without Hikaru, we have 7 players above 2,700 besides Hikaru. Nearly the entire tournament is 2,700 plus, and others have also been 2,700 plus, like Sam Shanklin has been 2,730 or so. So it's a really strong tournament. That's why I take pride in it. And I'm always motivated to do well in this tournament.
Have you thought about this resemblance with Bobby, and how do you see that play out, or is it something that you think about at all, or you thought about that at all? Right now it's out, right? You can only surpass that, but did you think about equalizing that performance of Bobby Fischer?
Well, I think in general you can't really compete with Bobby. It's maybe a few people in history can, but it's a very, very select few. It's Magnus, Gary, and arguably Anatoly, and maybe arguably Vichy. But to be honest, usually Bobby seems to stand out as top 3 greatest in history. And some of his achievements are untouchable. 11 out of 11 is untouchable. We had an
It's not going
interesting
to happen. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. I mean, Carissa got close, I guess, 8 out of 8, I think she made. But also, yeah, of course, congratulations to Carissa on winning again. Despite a rocky start, she still won like her last 6 out of 7 games. U.S. champion for 3 times in a row for her. So she won 8 out of 8 last year, I think. Started with 8 wins. 11 out of 11. I don't think ever going to happen. We had an interesting prize this year. Like the first 5 wins started kind of cash prizes, like 5 wins in a row at the start. Nobody even got close to that. I think 2 wins was the record this year. Two in a row. So it's obviously to compete with Bobby is also his candidate's record. He was world champion. He beat Boris Spassky in 1972.
I'm thinking more from like a U.S. chess perspective, like when it comes to the U.S. championships. Well, obviously it's you right now with 5. It's Hikaru with 5, if I'm not mistaken, and of course
got a
4 in a
Kamsky,
row.
I think 5.
Yeah.
And then after that, it's Walter Brown with 6, Reshevsky with 8, I believe, and Bobby Fischer with 8. I think that they're, which 8 might also never be surpassed. That's also possible. I will not speak on that, but time will tell. But of course, yeah, it's Bobby was one of the greatest.
A bit disappointed that Hikaru refuses right now to play the U.S. Chess Championships. That's obviously the marquee event in U.S. chess calendar, and we haven't seen Hikaru in 6 years. He wanted to play in the Manitoba Championship or somewhere in Canada. I don't remember exactly which one it was. And the Comet Chess.com Championship, which he took a lot of pride in, winning $40,000, very good cash prize. But again, playing in the U.S. Championship carries its weight outside of the money involved, which is very generous also. So are you a little bit disappointed that we're not seeing Hikaru? And what do you think we need to do to get him back in the mix? Or you don't think about it?
It's not my job to worry about what events Hikaru plays. If he doesn't want to play the U.S. Championship, that's his choice. And
he was in town. He was in the hotel.
I will not try to convince him. If he wants to play, he's of course welcome to. But it's really not my concern at all whether he plays or not.
I like it. Cool. Well, Fabi, once again, congratulations. I think this summary speaks for itself. 4 in a row. Once again, an incredible result, and go enjoy it. And you don't have a lot of time to enjoy it, in fact, because in just a couple of days, Clutch Chess starts. That's a big one. Magnus, yourself, Gukesh, the world champion, and of course Hikaru. It's going to be a 4-way exhibition with a lot of cash prizes on the line and a lot of pride at stake as well. And it's not going to be easy. I think you got very close to winning it last time when it was this type of Clutch Chess situation. I think that was during the pandemic. And you lost against Magnus in the finals. Any thoughts about the tournament as we get ready for it?
Yeah, that was a match play. Very disappointing. It came down to final game. I was 2 points up against Magnus, but the last game was worth 3 points. That's the clutch chess idea, right? Certain games are worth more. So being 2 points up going into the final game was not a guarantee of anything, and he won. He caught me in prep, actually, but my approach in the opening was also incredibly naive, and I just look back on that game with regret, and he won that game and took the match. This is a different format. It's going to be a round robin each day, double round robin in rapid, but the first day will be worth 1 point for each game, second day 2 points, and third day 3 points. So that's the idea. I think it'll be fun. It's obviously the, the kind of creme de la creme, Magnus, Hikaru, Gukesh, the number 1 and 2 players by classical rating in the world, and the world champion are all playing, and I'm looking forward to it.
The world champion in the top 3 by FIDE rating.
Yes, that is exactly that's probably what they were going for.
That's quite impressive. I don't think you can get a better lineup than that.
A pretty impressive field, and also the cash prizes are very impressive as well. So we're going to be playing for quite a bit of money.
Excellent. Well, Fabi, I'll be in St. Louis. I'll be monitoring the situation and obviously rooting for you. And probably we will have some content from Clutch Chess as well. So go enjoy your victory, the fruits of your labor at the U.S. Championships, and I will see you in St. Louis, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Cheers. Fabi, welcome to the St. Louis Chess Club. Not the first time that you're playing in the new club. You already finished the U.S. Championships. You've been quite successful in that one. So once again, congratulations. Probably people that have watched the C-Squared podcast will be seeing this in the previous episode as well. But right now we're getting ready for Clutch Chess. You've played Clutch Chess before. It's a brand new concept which pretty much incentivizes comebacks. How are you feeling about the next 3 days?
I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, it's a rather unusual scoring system. We had this in 2020 during the pandemic. We played online, so I played matches against Wesley, against Magnus, final against Magnus, against Riskier as well. It's a very interesting format. It'll probably come down to the last day because the scoring system just kind of makes it, unless one person just wins all their games, it probably comes down to the last day. Each game is worth 3 points, so we have 6 games, just 18 points in the final day alone. So it's very interesting from that point of view. The field is also as strong as you could possibly get, which makes it interesting. Magnus and Hikaru are a bit, they haven't played for a while, and Gukesh and I are just coming off tournaments, right? So Gukesh just probably arrived, or maybe hasn't even arrived yet in St. Louis. He just played the European Club Cup. And I just finished yesterday the U.S. Championship. So it's very interesting from that point of view as well.
It's been an up and down type of year for you, especially when it comes to rapid play, especially when it comes to blitz. Now, the time control for this one is a bit different. It's 10 plus 5, somewhere in between rapid and blitz. You've mentioned it before that you've had some difficulties in the blitz, not a lot of difficulties at the Grand Chess Tour finals. That was a great comeback. How are you feeling right now about this particular time control? Did you get to do any sort of preparation with 10 plus 5?
10-5 I haven't played much of. Yeah, it's been a while. I think definitely some online tournaments have had a similar 10 minutes time control. But over the board, the Grand Chess Tour usually uses 25 minutes, a longer rapid. Very often we play 15 minutes, like the World Championship in rapid, I think it's 15 minutes. So 10 is a bit unusual. It's a bit of a mix between rapid and blitz, you could say. I think this year, like, rapid has gone reasonably well for me. I had a very good St. Louis rapid portion, and then spoiled it quite a bit in the blitz. And the Grand Chess Tour was kind of the reverse. Like, my classical was average, my rapid was below average, and then in blitz I managed, like, basically won the event solely because I did well in blitz. That was the only reason I actually won those matches. I didn't win a single classical or rapid game. But blitz, for some reason, went well. I mean, definitely this is different than blitz. It's not, the time scrambles, they will be perhaps a bit intense, but not a 2-second increment. You still have a bit of buffer. You're not risking to flag if you don't move instantly. 10 minutes, still a bit of a thinking time, at least at the start. Of course, it's a fast time control. It comes down to the final seconds for sure in some games.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're all looking forward to it. It's going to be 6 games. This is also a different aspect than the last time you played Clutch Chess. 6 games, quite a few every single day. So stamina will probably play an important role as well. You're coming off a tournament. In these 2 days, what are you doing to get your energy back in between the events?
There's not much to do. I mean, yesterday was kind of the final closing party, you could say, or ceremony for the U.S. Championship. And today is going to be media day, so it's not much time in between. But there is a positive in terms of I've been working on chess recently, so I'm at least a bit in practice. That helps a bit. You could say maybe you're tired, but also you've been working on chess. You've looked at some openings. I'm going to try to take this tournament kind of easy, like not put too much pressure on myself. I did play 2 very intense tournaments recently. The Grand Chess Tour final was very intense. The U.S. Championship as well. Long classical event. The previous Clutch Chess was matches, and that always feels a little bit more like
Tense?
yeah, in some ways, yeah, because each game could, you feel like each game you can't lose because any loss could be the end of the match. It feels like. And here, round robin, it feels like there's always going to be some time to come back, perhaps. I mean, not until the very end, at least. Which can also, if you're too relaxed, you take it easy, and then you realize that everyone's ahead of you, which also isn't good. But I do view it as a little bit of an easier format than matches. Of course, that's also perhaps a personal thing.
In one word, describe your 3 challengers. We'll start with Hikaru.
Solid.
Gukesh.
Ambitious.
Magnus.
Strongest.
Thank you very much, Fabi, and good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.